Hi everyone, thank you for joining us this afternoon for our Zoom careers event for engineering. My name is David Keller. I'm the head of school for science and engineering for the CCCG group at the Tottenham and Enfield centres. So I think to kick off the live stream, if we could have a quick introduction and brief background from our panel. So how this is going to work is Samaya is going to help me to ask the questions to everybody. So I'd like to thank you all for turning up this afternoon. And if I can pass over to Roger to give a brief introduction, and we'll go around the room. Roger, as an ex-business owner in engineering, a successful business owner in engineering, can you give a brief background and introduction for me?
Yeah, by all means, David. I'm the curriculum team leader for Cornell here with the engineering department. I started off life as an apprentice, and from there I started up my own engineering company, which I had for 30 years until I decided to sell it and retire. After which time I have to admit I was a little bit bored, so someone suggested I came into education, which was quite a shock to me at the time, but I've thoroughly enjoying it. So hence I'm here.
A formidable progression, Rog. Thank you very much. Over to you, Suzanne. Or Susanna, sorry.
Yeah, my name is Susanna Harrison. I'm the Emerging Talent Lead for Unix Traffic. I look after apprentices, interns and graduates throughout the business. I didn't think about coming into engineering as very much a late starter. I worked in business, and I worked at a college for 20 years as a lecturer, doing a range of different health and safety and business courses. I'm a qualified assessor, and then moved over to traffic about 4 years ago. And since then, I've been helping to place apprentices throughout the country and trying to help keep them on track, really.
Thank you very much, Susanna, and welcome to the session. Thank you. Over to you, Samaya.
Thank you, David. Yes, hi, good afternoon. So my name is Samaya Chetawan, and I currently work at the college as a rail engineering business manager. So my career in this college started roughly around 2011, and I was actually working for a railway subcontractor based at this college, who specialized mainly in track operative. And basically from that journey, I stayed in this college for a couple of years, and then the college took me on, and that's really how the journey started. But obviously it went on from there and it got a lot more exciting. I joined engineering, and basically I work with both engineering, rail, supporting the team, mainly working with apprentices, with employers across both engineering and railway. And I also lead a program for adults who want to get into the rail industry to start a career in track operatives. So obviously that experience that I started with in this college, I've continued with that, but now mainly focusing with adults. So all of it is really to help people that want to either work in the railway, learn more skills, more qualifications, either as an apprentice, as a full-time student, or as part-time evening course. So yeah, and the rest of it is just basically working with commercial students across different employers, just supporting young people that want to get into this industry and learn the skills.
That's lovely, Samaya. Thank you very much. Over to you, Natalie.
Hi, my name's Natalie Duggan. I'm currently a London Underground Fleet apprentice. Prior to this, I worked in education for 12 years as a special educational needs teaching assistant, 8 years at secondary level, 4 years at primary. In June of 2022, I decided that I wanted to change careers, and I actually came to Cornell and did my PTS rail track maintenance qualifications with the help of Samaya. So I spent a year working as a rail track operative, a multi-skilled operative on rail civils work, but also alongside Network Rail, doing rail track maintenance. And I decided I wanted to make it a long-term career, and I applied to London Underground, and I've just as sort of September of this year, I've started as a fleet apprentice, which has been great.
Wow, thank you very much, Natalie. It's really interesting to hear your journey. and to hear that you originally started off with Samaya as one of
Yeah.
the trainees. Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much. And last but not least, over to you, Rob.
Hello. So my name is Rob Kirk, and I was an apprentice about a year ago now. So I've just finished my apprenticeship. So I've been out of that for a year, but before that I did 4 years as an apprentice. So with Unix traffic, so we make sort of lots and lots of different traffic solutions. We do traffic lights, do speed cameras, maintenance for EV chargers, and quite a few other solutions as well. So what I was doing when I was an apprentice was going around different parts of the business. We've got a factory based in Poole as well. So I've gone around sort of nearly every department that you can think of in the business, everything from logistics to engineering to sort of software engineering to training, sort of every different aspect of the business. In my 4 years, I sort of rotated around there. And then I was given the option to choose a sort of any area of the business, as long as they had a slot for me. And then I chose training. So I ended up in the training department. So I've been there, as I said, for a year now. So I've been teaching things to do with the EV chargers and then a whole host of other different topics that we teach in training.
That's amazing, Rob. Thank you very much. EV charging is definitely something that us as a college are looking to develop. So I may well be talking to you outside of the meeting at some point. But an amazing background there. Thank you very much. So you've kind of all answered my first question that I was going to ask, which is your journey that's led you up to the first point. So what I'm going to do is ask Samaya to ask the second question. So Samaya and I, we've got sort of 10, 15 questions each. So if I could ask you to ask the next question, Samaya, and then I'll take the question after that. Thank you.
Yes, so this is obviously mainly for the apprentices. So this is for Natalie and for Rob. If I start with you, Natalie, can you just tell us what are the benefits of working in your sector? In this case, obviously working in the railway.
I think I've definitely found the benefits of working in the rail industry for me has been the diversity of the skills that I've been able to learn, from the qualifications that I did with rail track maintenance, which involved learning how to use hand tools, learning how to use specific rail tools, so impact wrench, Cobra TT, and going out and using those to fix the tracks and things like that, knowing that you're having a positive impact on sort of the journey of people who use the trains every day and things like that. And then coming from that, to come into college to do my apprenticeship, I've learned just within the small time that I've been here on my apprenticeship, learning lots of hand fitting skills, so using machinery, tools. I've done electrical work and circuitry as well, just starting to do with soldering and electronic circuits. So it's just the skills that I've been able to pick up, which has just been fantastic.
That's great. Thank you, Natalie. I mean, you have so much more to learn, but you've made a fantastic start to your career, and that's really, really good to hear. And the same for you, Robin. So what would you say are the benefits of working in your sector, in this case, engineering?
Yeah, so for me, the benefits for my sector were obviously where it's traffic. It's very varied. So I've worked on a lot of different things, from installing traffic poles out on street with some of the guys, and then some of the stuff doing sort of technical drawings and things in the lab and the hardware engineering aspect. And then obviously now teaching is sort of different again, to the variety of different roles. There's kind of something for everyone, really. If you like working outdoors, then the field's great. If you like working indoors and you're a bit technical, then the sort of hardware engineering roles are good as well. And then if you like playing with computers and IT, we've got roles in software, and so there's sort of that sheer range. And where I was an apprentice, I was able to experience each of those different aspects. So you only had a couple of months and sometimes weeks in different departments, but it gives you a taste for each area, which helped me to try out quite a few different job roles without changing jobs, if that makes sense.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Robin. And again, really fascinating to learn about what you've been doing and what you've been involved in. So that's really good. Over to you, David, for the next question.
Thank you, Samaya. Really interesting, guys, to listen to your journey and what you've been learning and stuff. Really interesting. The next question from me, in the context of your course, at the start of your journey, would you say that you was fully informed in what course you chose, and were there any surprises at college, as in subjects and areas that you thought you wouldn't learn but you ended up learning? For the first response to Natalie, please.
I think from the start of my journey, I think because I'm at the point where I'm learning sort of the engineering principles and the generic sort of principles. I'm learning across all different sort of scopes of things, like I said, so hand fitting, which is more mechanical engineering, but I'm also now going on to modules which are electronic and electrical engineering, which I'm not sure that I expected that. Because my role is fleet, I think I expected to go straight into learning about sort of the fleets and the trains and how they function and things like that. But what we've done is we've started off with the basic engineering principles, and I've found that absolutely fantastic. But and I'm learning skills that I never expected to learn, but I'm finding it really, really enjoyable to learn all those different things. And I know that when I come back for my level 3, I'm going to end up building on those, which will be great to help me in fixing everything that I need to.
Brilliant. And would you say that your experience in the subjects that you're learning at college, although not directly relevant to your job at the moment, would you say that it's giving you a really good sort of foundation for a career in engineering and rail?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like somebody else has said, you learn this diverse skill set, which means that you sort of get a taste at trying everything.
Yeah.
So you can kind of, things that you maybe never thought that you would enjoy, or you've never thought about trying, you get this option to try them. And it's, for me, it's been really great to learn the things that I never expected to, because the electrical side of it, I'm actually really, really enjoying at the moment. And I'd never actually considered that side.
Which pleases me considerably, because my background's electrical, so that's really good to hear. Thank you, Natalie. And the same for you, Rob?
Yeah, I think the thing so I did electrical engineering as a HNC at college. So I kind of knew it would be electronics based, but I didn't think about how much coding there'd be. So I think the biggest thing that was different for me was the sort of the coding aspect of it, the programming. I was quite comfortable with the electrical engineering aspect, but that was quite different for me. And then also there were some other modules that I did that were really sort of very different. I did domestic. I did a short, like a couple of weeks course on domestic electrician, basically. So that, which is completely different again to what I did at college. So at college I did sort of like electronics rather than domestic wiring electronics. So that was very different. Yeah, which obviously is not something I'm going to use necessarily in my job role now, but it gave me a good grounding in when I then went on to do the EV chargers. Not that I necessarily knew I would do that, but when I went on to do the EV chargers afterwards, having that knowledge of how the domestic wiring all fits together and electrical wiring on a bigger scale rather than sort of circuit board electronics, that gave me a sort of a step into that in an easier way than going straight from small scale electronics to sort of hundreds of volts in the EV chargers.
Absolutely, it's definitely both ends of the scale there, isn't it, in the electrical world?
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you very much. Over to you, Samaya, for the next question.
Yes, so this question really applies to both, to employers and candidates. So I think I'm going to ask it to the employers first. So if there's a young candidate who's just finishing school, is going to watch this video and is trying to decide, should I go into engineering, should I go into rail? So Susanna, what would you say to a 16-year-old who's just finished their GCSEs and is maybe trying to consider going into this industry? What advice would you actually give them?
If they like taking things apart and putting things back together, then they're an ideal candidate for anything to do with engineering, really. And also having a passion for it, and an interest more than anything else. As an employer, we can teach the skills, and you as a college can help teach the skills to those apprentices when they're coming through. We don't expect them to know anything. We don't expect them to, have already rewired the house for the mum and dad, or replumbed in something else. Do you know what I mean? It's really knowing that they're starting at the bottom, but having an eagerness to learn and being enthusiastic about learning would be the best thing I could say to anyone. It doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, as Rob will probably say to you, and I don't know too much about Natalie's position, but we're worrying about maths and you're thinking, oh, do they need maths? Well, Rob will tell you, yes, he really does need maths when he's thinking about how much voltage is going through his electric vehicle charger, because obviously he doesn't want, curly hair in the morning. So it's things like that if you feel that you're not very good at those subjects, most employers and the college themselves will help them to learn how maths is really important within their job roles. And you will help them achieve their goals. We don't want them to fail, do we? So we give them as much support as we possibly can.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think the key word there is definitely willing to learn, isn't it? If they are willing to learn, whatever it is they have to complete, they'll be able to achieve, because obviously they'll be coming to do an apprenticeship, they'll be coming to a college, and that's what we do here, is actually help people learn and give them that opportunity. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you, Susanna. And the same question to you, Roger. What would you say to a young person who's watching this, who's trying to decide this is for them?
Well, really, I would concur with what Susanna said. One of the things I would say that is really, really important to all employers is how you manage your time. By that, I mean, can you come to college on time? Will you study? Because one of the things as an employer, we can teach you, and obviously the college, if you come to the college, we will teach you how to do things. But the one thing we can't teach you is how to get out of bed in the morning. And it's amazing the amount of students that they'll turn up at 9:15 thinking it's acceptable. Well, they might think that's acceptable in the college or a school environment, but when you're in the workplace, it's not acceptable. So as I said before, if you can manage your time correctly, then we can teach you how to use your hands, how to learn skills. And again, I would say if you can, get your English and maths while you're at school, rather than having to come to college and then you'd have to maybe do an evening class to catch up with that. Although all the things we can teach you, that's possible. But again, it's down to you, your willingness to learn. But again, I know we're promoting this college, but what we've got here, we've got some superb equipment, we've got superb facilities, so we can teach you how to become an engineer. And I have to say, as you can tell, I'm a little bit older than most people here, but I'm very fortunate. I've never, ever been out of work becoming an engineer. It's a wonderful trade to get into. There's all diverse areas that you can go off to. It's not just being an engineer. You can start as an engineer and you can go all different avenues. And like I say, I've been very fortunate that I've not been out of work since, I think, 1971. It's a good engineering background, and it's a good industry to get into.
Thank you, Roger. And the same question, but now from the perspective of applicants and obviously people who have either finished an apprenticeship or they've just started. So Robin, same question to you. What advice would you give to a young person who's considering going into this industry?
Yeah, I would say go for it. Even if, as we said, like maths and English and everything is very important, but also if it's I'm not naturally gifted at maths. It's something that I had to I was one of the lads doing the evening classes because it wasn't something I was naturally gifted at. But it is something that I thought, you know what, I'll stick at this. I'll keep doing it because it is something that I'm passionate about, and I think as other people have said. It's one of those things where you can, once you sort of get into engineering, you start seeing how everything that we use has some aspect of engineering incorporated in it, even if it's just the traffic lights that you drive past or the EV chargers that you plug into. You start thinking, oh, how does that work? That to me is sort of, that's the root of I think everybody that's done any type of engineering. So
that's good. And I have to ask, have you now fallen in love with maths? since you're a qualified
No,
engineer?
no, I haven't fallen in love with it. It's something that I do because I have to, not necessarily because I love it. But there are people who fall in love with it. But for me, it's still a battle. But I think that helps with the teaching aspect because when other people are struggling with it, I can sort of relate to that as well. So
Perfect, thank you. And Natalie, same question to you.
I think I would say to anybody who's considering a possible career in rail to go for it. It really is an industry that can take you into so many different places that you never really thought that you could go. The one thing that I've found from where I've started, so I started off in rail track maintenance, and I was so surprised to see all of the different roles once you go in, all the different roles that do become available to you. So even when you're working in rail track maintenance, you will work with people who work on the signals, other people who work on the overhead lines, and you can do things that are off track, not necessarily working on the tracks, but there's off track roles, even if you don't want to work directly on the track. And then when you come into the sort of the apprenticeship side of it, it sort of all opens up even more. You can sort of go into fleet and lifts and escalators, electrical installations, things like that. Even sort of rail engineering workshop where you will learn to make parts that fit onto trains. I think there is a role for everybody if they can find what it is that they're looking for. If you want to take that first step, I think that you can go anywhere. So I would easily say to anybody who's considering a career, go for it, because you just don't know where it can lead you.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Thank you, Natalie. Over to you, David. Yeah.
Thank you, Samaya. That's great, guys. Really inspirational. Yeah, really, really good to hear. I've got a question for Susanna and Roger, as Roger is an ex-employer and Susanna as an employer. What, for a young person watching this this live stream, what would be the key qualities that you would look for in a potential applicant?
Do you want me to go first, David?
Yeah, can do.
Possibly determination. As I said to you before, being able to manage your own time, willing to learn, because again, if you come to college, you're not going to know everything from day one, but as long as you're willing to learn, we're here to be able to help you and teach you. But ideally, you want a passion for it. It's no good just come and say, oh, I might have a go at that. It's not going to work. But if you really, really want it, then you can achieve. As Natalie said earlier, if you don't know what you can do till you try. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, Roger. And the same question to you, Suzanne. What qualities would you look for if you was running an apprentice day and you had sort of 20 applicants? Who would be the star applicants for you? What qualities would they have?
I think it's like Roger says, it's that tenacity, isn't it? And that resilience maybe to actually get on and do something, maybe putting themselves in a slightly uncomfortable position of doing something they've never been able to do before. As Natalie said, and I thought this was actually a really good point, she said that there was lots of different people that she interacts with on a daily basis. So engineering, people might think, oh, you're just working on your own, but you're not. You're working with lots of different people. So communication skills are really important as well. And it's that thing, isn't it, of being able to listen as much as we talk to others, to take on board what other people are telling you, and maybe giving you hints and tips on how to improve, and take every bit of feedback as a gift. Feedback can be good or it could be negative. It could be negative or it could be positive, but it's how we deal with that feedback, which is the resilience that we need. And if someone's showing you how to do something, you might think it's a better way of doing it, but go with the other way first and then say, well, actually, I thought about this, and then explore the different ways of doing things. So, but if I was going to have like 3 people or 10 people on an assessment day, I'd be looking for those ones who can talk to other people, the ones who actually are able to get and show that enthusiasm to ask questions. No question is a bad question. There's no silly questions. It shows that you're interested if you're asking questions, and that's what I want to see if someone's on an assessment day.
Amazing. That's some really good advice there, Suzanne. Thank you very much. Over to you, Samaya, for the next question.
Yes. So I just wanted, so obviously as we're trying to target this to school leavers, they will definitely be asking, like, how do we apply? So I want to just find out a bit from Natalie and Rob, how did you come across the vacancies to be able to apply and be where you are now? So if I start with Natalie.
The vacancies for the apprenticeships you can find on the TfL website. I believe they recruit twice a year. So, for some apprenticeships, I think it's once a year. For some, it's twice a year. So what I would say is, if you're looking to go into rail for London Underground TfL, just keep checking that website, because they will tell you exactly when those apprenticeships open. And even if they're not open at the time that you look, you can register your interest, which will mean that when they do open, they will send you an email to tell you that they're open.
So you don't miss it out. And Rob, for you, the same question as well?
Yeah, so for us, it's very similar. Obviously, it's not a TfL, it's Unix Traffic, but yeah, just go to our website and have a look on there. We post all the jobs on there, and I think there's some on the government apprenticeship website as well. So you can see all the different range of apprenticeships that we've got throughout there. And as we've said, a lot of them are in engineering, but there's a lot of other ones as well. So yeah,
Okay,
it's just from
that's
applying
good.
online. Yeah.
And Susanna, so if I just link this question to, obviously, in this case, your company, when would you typically start recruiting? When would you actually start, having like live vacancies for people to apply for?
So our vacancies should be live by the end of this week, actually. We aim to get them out on the 1st of December. We're a little bit behind. We've got a new system, unfortunately for us, so we're a little bit behind now. But we post them, as Rob said, to the National Apprenticeship website. We're also posting them on places like UCAS, because people just think they do degrees, but they don't. They also do, there's a big apprenticeship site as well. And we also use Not Going to Uni to advertise our vacancies, because obviously people nowadays are looking to learn and earn at the same time, and maybe don't, especially for higher level apprentices, don't want to be going on to university courses and maybe having that debt when they come out. As Rob said, we actually have a range of different vacancies. We have about 39 different apprentices throughout the company, but half of them are in some form of engineering. So there's something for everybody within our engineering electrical company.
Sounds good. And typically, how many vacancies would you actually have available in Enfield, particularly?
In Enfield,
in London,
especially
in London.
In London, this year we took 5 apprentices last year in Enfield, and we're going to be taking another 5, I believe, for September 2024. There may be some also within the M25, but sort of south of you, so Crawley Way, where I think we're taking them to.
Fantastic, that's good. Sorry, David, I think I've asked 3 questions in a row, so I apologize. But they were all interlinked, so there's no point in actually asking afterwards. So thank you very much for everybody for answering. Over to you.
Well, I've just looked through the questions and we've kind of covered everything we was going to ask, to be honest. I think we had a few questions about females in engineering. There's a big drive. There's a real underrepresentation of females in engineering internationally, actually, and obviously nationally in the UK. We do, and we champion any female in engineering. The 23rd of June every year is International Women's Day, and it's also Women in Engineering Day as well. What would you say, Natalie and Suzanne, if Natalie can go first, to any woman considering going into engineering? Was there any unexpected challenges, or was it quite, was your transition quite easy? What advice would you give, Natalie?
I actually found my transition actually was quite easy. I think when I first finished my rail qualifications and I went out onto site, I was a little bit apprehensive about you know, how I might be perceived or what the reception to me might be. But I'm really happy to say that I experienced none of what I was worried about. I was treated fantastically by the other people on site, by the members of Network Rail, and the experience that I've had has continued very much into London Underground as well. So I would advise, if you're somebody who is worried as a female about how you might be perceived in engineering or in rail, I would say you've no need to be. I've worked with other females on site as well, so there are females out there, and generally what I've found is everybody has been really welcoming, so don't let it put you off.
Amazing, thank you very much, Natalie. I mean, I've worked with some amazing female engineers over the last sort of couple of decades, and there's certainly a lot of you out there, and no, it's really, really good to hear. Thank you. And the same question to you, Susanna. What would be your advice about female engineers?
We have a lot of female engineers which seem to work more in the offices than out in the field, but I don't know whether that's maybe because they like to be warmer and drier than maybe our field service engineers. We are finding that obviously for every 20 applicants that we get, we may only get one female applicant, which is a shame. So as a company, we're trying our best to actually change that. We have a lot of get a lot of schools that now come in, and we take them around our factory in Poole to show where we make our traffic lights and show how engineering and is actually for girls, and we're trying to get that at a much younger age group to try and encourage them to think of engineering as a female job, because I do think there is a lot of things that they tend to think it's boys that do, like a blue job, but obviously it doesn't matter what colour, what age, what creed, what sex you are. There is something for everything in engineering, and don't, as Natalie said, don't let it put you off, because there is always going to be people, and you'll always find that there's lots of people championing you to be the best that you can be. And I don't know whether Natalie feels that at TfL, but certainly us in UNIX, we have a big women in UNIX, women in ITS, which is intelligent traffic systems, and we try and encourage those people. Doesn't matter what, as I said, there's a lot of males in that as well that are championing the female getting to do those jobs, and there doesn't seem to be any major issues. It's not like, oh, because you're a girl you can't do that. They're normally the ones that are first in it and the ones who are most inquiring, so it's good like that.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Susanna. And obviously I'm going to ask this question to Samaya as well. She didn't know I was going to ask her a question, because you're a female in the engineering sector, so do you have any unexpected
interestingly,
challenges?
I had that question highlighted, but I don't know how I actually skipped it, and I'm a female, so shame on me, I must say that. Well, yes, interestingly, I have actually been working in this college, when I worked for a subcontractor, and it was all male dominated, and it was the first time I actually worked with, in an office that was just all male, but that's just not the staff, it's also all the learners used to be male. I don't think I've ever seen a girl until maybe 5 years after I actually was in this college. It doesn't really faze me, because I've got two sons, and I'm used to maybe a bit of a challenging behavior. But to be honest, I find that when you actually work with, it doesn't matter really what kind of gender you're working with. People obviously will treat you with respect if you respect them. It's like it goes both ways. But I can definitely say over the last couple of years, I have seen more females, particularly in apprenticeships and for the AB adult course as well. We are getting more females than ever before. So on average, we get about maybe 2-3 females in each course. We have apprentices here for engineering. Like Susanna, you've got 2 girls, and I think you've got 2 or 1, but we have a class here that's got about 4 girls, 4 females. So it definitely is something that is for everyone, regardless of your gender. If this is what you want to follow, basically just go for what you enjoy doing. And I think the industry has moved, really, into the right direction, trying to recruit more female engineers, more female railway workers. And if that's what you want to do, don't let your gender be like the block for that, because it shouldn't be. And it's not, because we are in 2024.
Amazing, thank you, Samaya. That's a really good answer. So that concludes my questions. I think Samaya's got a couple more, maybe, or one more.
Yes, I want to ask a question which I know a lot of young people would definitely be thinking. They might not ask it directly, and it's around salary. So I'm not going to ask anybody here for how much they earn. But so Natalie and Rob, if you actually compare maybe with your friends that might be working in like in a different sector, would you say the job that you're doing in the sector where you are, do you think that the pay is more competitive? Is it better paid than, maybe someone working in, I don't know, art or something else?
I think for me, my do you mean my pay at the moment, or do you mean when I finish?
Like when you qualify?
When I qualify, my wage will be probably significantly higher than the majority of sort of my friends and people that I know. So at the moment, I would say I'm probably on the same sort of level as them. But once I finish my apprenticeship, my wage will increase significantly, and I think I'll be significantly higher than where they currently are.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. We need to stay friends with you. Just no, that's good to know. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, that's that I would say that's the same for me. I think as we've said, there is like a you're never out of a job in engineering. There's always projects going on where engineers required. So it's definitely one of those jobs where they pay well. I think partly because it's a struggle sometimes to get the people with the right skills. So yeah, it's definitely a field that I would say definitely pays well. Yeah.
Good. That's fantastic.
So,
Thank
Mike,
you.
could I just also say, is for a lot of apprentices, when we bring them in, it might on the box say a level 2 apprentice or level 3 apprentice or level 4 apprentice, but a lot of our apprentices go on to do further learning and studying as well.
Of
So
course.
like our level 3s, if they come and do a level 3 with us, we would generally pay on top of their level 3 apprenticeship, we would pay for a HNC on top. And then if they do well at that, we would then look at maybe putting them on a degree apprenticeship afterwards, depending on their aptitude and which bit of the business they're going to choose to go through. So I've had level 3s that have done level 3 and then gone on to do a level 5 or level 6 with us as well. So sometimes you've got you might think, oh, I'm only going to be earning, £12,000 a year for that first year until you go on to like the living wage or whatever. But think about where you may be able to go in 3 years or 4 years time once you've had that experience.
Of course.
And I'm sure both probably Natalie and Rob will say that when they're in comparison to coming for someone who's come outside of college, they've got those years worth of experience actually working, which actually means that they're further ahead in the job profiling. So if they were going to, go off and look for another job after they've done their apprenticeship, they can show that they've got their 2 years worth of experience. Whereas those kids who've maybe stayed at college and just done a BTEC or whatever, or level whatever it's called nowadays, MVQ, they won't have that hands-on experience that Natalie and Rob that can bring to the employer, and they're gainfully employed from day one. I'm sure Natalie, and I know Rob definitely, are valued members of the team, actually doing proper work. It's not like you turn up and you're the apprentice, you only get to make the tea. They're actually making you do proper jobs, so you are learning all the time. And as Roger said earlier, it's he said about time management. I'm sure Natalie, and I know Rob, as I said, because I work with Rob, have to make time and be quite disciplined about, have they got their assignment in? Because if they don't pass their apprenticeship, they might not keep their job. So they need to do that bit to then improve themselves.
That's good, because that also means they have a huge potential to progress. Once they finish that apprenticeship, they can stay with the company, they can go somewhere else. But it's that key experience that's what determines how much money they're going to be earning afterwards. And that could be uncapped, isn't it? Depending on the individual.
Exactly. So it's all about, and that's one thing about apprenticeships, isn't it? It's them starting as you, your dream, you make it what you want to make it. It's one of those things you get out of it, what you put in. So if you do really well at it, you're going to come out flying at the top, aren't you? So
absolutely,
people are going to want to employ you.
Yes, 100%. Fantastic. Thank you for that, Susanna. Just checking. I don't think I have any more questions. Do we have any questions from the candidates that maybe you want to ask us, or? Roger, is it worth asking you the same question? In terms of when you started in engineering, were you, was the salary or the, financial remuneration, was that like a massive factor for you, would you say?
No, but when I first started in engineering, it's going to be embarrassing now, but I was on the £7 a week. And my friends were earning £20 a week working on a building site. But that said, we're laughing. Those same guys now, they're not working at all because they're crippled, because they've been out on building sites. Whereas I finished my apprenticeship, although it was a 5-year apprenticeship, at the end of that apprenticeship, then I could move on to different companies where I was earning probably 4 times what they was earning, and in a nice warm engineering factory. So as I said before, the scope, it's endless what you can do. If at the end of that apprenticeship, I'd learned so many different skills that I became what they call a press tool maker, which meant you made tools for press machines. So you put a bit of metal in, and then you get like maybe a car bonnet, whatever you want to call it, would come out the other end. So you were so diverse, you could go to so many different factories and get a job. And it was a lot better. And so now with engineering, some of those guys that are skilled, they can basically charge what they want. And it's not a weather indoctrinated job. I mean, like bricklayers can earn good money, but not like today when it's been pouring down the rain, they're not going to be earning a penny. Whereas if you're an engineer and you're good at what you do, you will be in job all the time and you will be paid good money as well, as I've seen from some of the apprentices that finish here.
And I can reiterate that as well, Rod. So I finished my apprenticeship in electrical engineering in 1980 something, and I can honestly say I've never been out of work since the day I graduated, and I've earned some really good money over my time as an engineer. And I come from a school background, like a normal background as well. So, and engineering can take you all over the world, doing all different things in different walks of life. So, no, 100% agree with you there, Rog. Okay, guys. Well, look, it's we've managed to keep it going for nearly 45 minutes, which is, and it's been hugely inspirational for me to hear everybody's journey and everybody's background. And I hope our audience feels the same as well. Before we leave, can I just briefly ask each of the people on the call, on the live stream, just to give their one accomplishment that they're proud of to date in engineering. If you go first, Natalie, for me, what's the one thing that you actually feel quite proud about thus far?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think the thing I do feel most proud about is taking the opportunity that I had through my rail track maintenance and being able to turn that and the experience that I had on that year into now what will be a really interesting and varied sort of career. So it's sort of, for me, I feel like I started with the rail track maintenance and I could have taken it in one direction, but from what I found while working there, I was really interested in the trains and the road rail vehicles and things like that. I'm really proud of myself for taking the chance to apply for the apprenticeship and now making it into a long-term career that is a bit of a dream I'm finding.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Over to you, Rob.
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I think the thing I'm the most proud of is I think ending up where I am sort of in training. It's obviously there's other things on the way as well, like the get my HNC. So I'm pretty proud of that, getting the qualifications and all the other bits and bobs that I needed to finish my apprenticeship. But yeah, I think that kind of like what Natalie said, really finding out what you're good at, where your strengths are, and also finding a team where you fit in and people that you get on with. I think that really helps when you come into work every day and you enjoy what you do. So it's yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. It's definitely a journey. It seems. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I think oh, sorry. I was just going to say as well, to add on to the what we were talking about wages and things in the last question as well, the fact that as far as I'm well, at least at Unix, all of your employment is all of your education is paid for as well, which we don't think about really. But actually, you know, both Natalie and I will have qualifications. At the end of this, I've got my HNC. I know people who've gone on to do a degree and all sorts, like Susanna mentioned earlier, and they've not had to pay for any of that, which is quite a lot of debt and a lot of money that they haven't had to take on. The employer's taken that on, so that's something as well to factor in when you're doing your apprenticeship. Is just the fact that actually all of that education is covered by the company. So it's another thing to think about.
Which is a really good point, Rob, to be honest, because university degrees, I think the average degree now they're saying is it's a cost of, is it 45 or 55,000 for the 3 years, which is a significant amount. Obviously, when you're just starting your journey, going into employment. No, it's a really, really good point. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, Susanna. What's your most proud accomplishment in engineering to date?
Do you know what? It's actually placing, getting young people coming in, not really knowing where they want to go, and then seeing them come out the other end and they've achieved their qualification. Some of them have chosen, as I said, to go further. So I've got quite a few level 3 engineers who've progressed and done their HNC, and I've now seen them do their degree, which I'm really chuffed about, because 4 years ago they would never have dreamed of doing that. I'm really pleased with, like you've met Rob today. He'd already started his journey when I joined the company. But I think between us, he unfortunately had COVID in there as well, which really impacted his learning, and which meant he couldn't do as much as he wanted to do, and he was a little bit behind. But hopefully he feels with the help and support that I've given him, he's now achieved, and now he's working in the training department, and probably brought the average age down by about half in that time, which is quite nice, because the new people that we're getting in want to be taught by younger people and who they can relate to. And it's really nice to see young people wanting to show how well they've been treated, which is in Rob's case, where he's worked well in the company and now wants to give that back to the new ones who are coming through. So actually he's one of my success stories, so I'm really chuffed with him.
Brilliant. And I think it is incredibly important to have them positive role models as you come through from school, so you can see potentially where you could go and what could happen with your journey. Thank you very much, Susanna. Over to you, Rog. What's your biggest accomplishment to date in engineering?
Well, there's a couple really, but I suppose if I have to sort of pick one, it's probably starting my own engineering company, which was successful for 30 years until I decided to sell it. But prior to that, if someone had said to me when I first started my apprenticeship, you're going to end up learning a trade and you're going to have your own business, employing other people and giving them a livelihood for 30 years, I said, you're bonkers. But I'm quite proud of the fact that we did that. It was a successful business, which somebody brought from, and it's still going to this day, the Grove Engineering Company. And I was very pleased with that, because I would never have dreamt I could have achieved anything like that when I left school and started my apprenticeship, but it ended up, and I'm very proud of that fact. But I'm also quite proud of what I've achieved here, actually. So if someone had said to me when I was in my late 50s that you're going to get a teaching degree, again, I would have said, well, you're bonkers, but you can never know what you can do till you try. So that's the main thing I would say to all the students out there. Give it a go. You never know what you can do until you try.
Absolutely. Really good advice there, Roger. Thank you. And lastly, Samaya, what's your greatest achievement in engineering to date?
I would have to say, for me, it really feels like more than an achievement, is actually more an honor, because I have actually met so many people right from the beginning since I've been in this college, and basically just really seeing people change their life, from bad to better, or just basically changing their life in terms of, like, better job, better prospect, better career. And to actually see someone achieve a job and come back and be really grateful, and you can see how they're actually, maybe they just got onto like a better path and they come back and they're really, really grateful. But that's not just obviously full-time students, that's apprentices. what an apprentice achieves, and they finally get that certificate. Recently, we had some great news about one of Susanna's apprentices who finally passed his EPA. I think those are really the moments that I really do cherish, and that's what makes my job really worth doing. Because as a college, it's all about helping people through education. And I've been lucky to actually have done that with a lot of people since 2011 or 2012.
Brilliant. Thank you, Samaya. And that's such a lovely note to end on. And ultimately, that's why we're all here, is to improve people's lives through education and training. And that's why we all get out of bed in the morning. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us this evening. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, to be honest, over the last 50 minutes. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend that with you. And yeah, thank you very much for being a part of that. And hopefully we've inspired some prospective engineers that are looking at this at school thinking, actually, yeah, I'll give that a go. It sounds pretty cool. So thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Have a
Thanks
lovely
very
evening.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.